And we are back.
We're back.
We're back.
The
Round
Warrior,
two.
yeah, the Warriors Way mindset part 2. Hey, I looked you up on Instagram last night. You have 2 videos.
Yeah, I don't even run that.
Why?
It's because I actually don't run almost any of my social media. I actually have a struggle with, there's a piece for me, like just the way social media is structured kind of goes against like the way that I feel.
Bro,
like,
I'm telling you.
I don't actually get enjoyment from it, which is ironic that we have such a following in certain platforms. It's the joke for Andrea and myself is that the TikTok that we have, it's got like, over 300, it's like 325,000 followers, millions of views on. It wasn't even mine. I didn't even have TikTok. She took a video of me on hers and that went viral. And then it ended up just being like people were watching me on hers.
Right.
So she got rid of all the stuff with the girls off of there and just said, here, you take the account. I didn't even have that social media. And that's why it's really funny is like a lot of the stuff that like has been going well for us where I don't try and preach too hard religion, but I go Christian. And on this one, I'm like, I did surrender. Like God take the wheel on some stuff.
What we
I
did
did.
to our podcast.
It's the more that I've surrendered, and this is why I say it's a yin yang for mind, body. Surrender is bad. That's quitting. That's not good. And that's where my strong side is. Heart and spirit surrendering is powerful. And I didn't know that, but I did surrender. I'm like, listen, I've done all the psychology. I've done all of the philosophy. I did all the compartmentalizations. I've done all of the diagnosing. I know the problems, but I still have like all of this here. It's just organized. Well, when I surrendered, I said, give it to God, which I could tell you guys the whole story for that. Once I gave it to God, it was a weight off my chest and things just started happening. They just started going and it wasn't on me to control everything anymore. I started going, hey, whatever's going to go that direction and this social media is a part of it. I wasn't really active at all on social media. I was working underground, working with real people. I was going into hell. I'm working on like pulling out people from like their nightmares and breaking curses and fighting demons. Well, this all just started blowing up where I'm like, I need to help more people. And then this happens. Boom, 2 million views on this thing. Boom, 8 million views on this thing. And we're like, whoa, this is happening quickly. Like something's happening. And so I noticed that was pretty quick. That's the loudest truck I've ever.
Right? I was just thinking that. I was like, well, they got to hear the fact that a garbage truck or whatever is clearly in the parking lot.
Yeah. That was the most powerful truck.
So give us your blurb. Who are you, what you do before we get into this?
All right. So my name is Rick. I'm the creator of the Warriors Way mindset. I work with men primarily. I've worked with women for years, but I work with men primarily. Our brothers need each other. And in this day and age right now, guys are isolated and trying to sort it out on their own. The unlife themselves, and I have to be, careful with the wording. Guys are taking their lives at an astronomical rate right now, and the isolation and not having mentors, not having brothers, not having unity, not having a place where they can actually train and do the work. Like, that's what's needed right now. Together, we're stronger. We're pack animals. Now, I need to be very clear because whenever guys hear this, their first instinct is, I don't need therapy. I don't need that. I'm not doing that. Like, we're stubborn in our heads here. We don't actually take help until there's crisis. We know this even if you're sick. Like, until you're like, hey, babe, I can't even move it anymore. It's been bothering me for 6 months. I think I need to make an appointment. Like, we're stubborn. We just are. And so we don't listen till there's crisis. Mm-hmm. Well, crisis for guys is getting to the point where like they're already, planning out how to end themselves. This doesn't have to be the case. I'm not a therapist. I go into behavioral psychology. I have a lot of certifications that gets into cognitive behavioral, NLP. You got nonviolent communication, through Rosenberg. I know some stuff. I've built psychology tools that I have had tested by PhDs and multiple experts that go, damn it, this stuff is working. The difference is why I don't call myself a therapist is I actually come in and do the work with you. I'll come into hell and I'll fight your demon with you. So does that fall into coaching? Today's society would call that yes. Fine. That's what I do. But I lock shields with these brothers. I train to teach them how to get out of whatever the generational curse is. Whatever the wounds or damage, I teach you how to go through acceptance. I teach you how to understand awareness, and we give tools and training to make it so the rest of your life, you can now break those curses so your children don't have to. We teach fathers, we teach brothers, we teach business leaders, we teach guys to be the best men that they can be because alphas learn best from other alphas. That's who I am. That's what I do. And as far as the undeathing themselves, I'm going to do a shout out to two of my warriors.
Yeah, how about it?
Phil and Chris Miller. Like these two guys, what we've done is about a year ago, Phil had the idea. Each one of our guys, every single guy that we have just has like a natural gift of skill. None of us is better than the other. Each of us just has different strengths. Phil's strength is he's likable. He's just likable. You just like Phil. Like even as a little kid, we make chirp jokes. He was like, before he could talk, he would be in the grocery store mimicking conversations to strangers like chirp, 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 chirp. Like he didn't know how to speak, but that's just Phil. And he'll talk with you for 9 hours, just about anything you want. He'll even look up VIN numbers for you just for funsies. He's that guy.
Wow.
So people just like Phil. Well, he's in our group. He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'd like to just have a thing where like the guys can just hang out. We don't have to do hard training, just a hangout. When I would be doing this, like it's been years that I've been doing this, we would have those like, I'm about to end myself phone calls and I'm the only one who takes those calls. And it'd be like every couple weeks or so, or even every week, there's a guy at like 2 a.m. who's drinking, sitting next to the gun going, I'm about to be done. And I would have to talk these guys off. There's nobody else that would take that. It's too much liability. And since Phil was like, let's just have a hangout group. Nighttime. They hang out late too. They go late. Just hang out. We can talk about fishing, trucks, girls. I don't care what you talk about. You talk about anything you like. Since we started that group, Chris Miller and Phil go back and forth just having nighttime hangouts. 0 calls.
Wow.
We have had no calls and no guys in our group who have like been at the edge. They belong. They're heard. They're important. They have purpose. We put value in. If they need something to do, we'll give them something to volunteer and do. You can help another brother out, build a dude up, help him go through his program. Like he's got to learn some things on this, and you can one-on-one just take a dude under your wing. You've gone through stuff. Having a purpose has made it so we have had no calls. The community and the pack is stronger.
Wow.
And that's a really important thing when the right now the rate is almost 1 per minute globally right now.
Yeah, with men, it's higher than it has been in human history.
Ever.
Yep.
And we need to do something. And what I'm saying is there are places that something is being done, but guys don't know about it. And they're so stubborn, we call it therapy. It's not therapy, it's warrior training. We teach skills and principles. I'm not here to just talk about your feelings, but your feelings will matter here because you can take your damn armor off and you can be you. We're allowed to be humans, not just human doings, but human beings when you're with your brothers. And so there's a place that exists. And I don't think people know that enough where they think the only way out is going off the edge instead of having somebody go lock shields and we'll go in together on whatever's pushing you. So that's what I do. Now, we do shows and we do stuff like you've been in some of my group stuff and you see like, no, if there's a guy fighting addiction or there's a guy in depression or there's a guy who's doubt is just tearing him apart from the inside out. If there's a guy he's just fighting with everything with the anger or he's got the sadness or whatever is inside this guy's soul, like when we go, hey, I'll come in with you. I'll fight that with you. These guys are killing these things. Their kids don't have to break the curses anymore. Their kids don't have to be the ones who carry on the pain that they hold on and suppress. It's not there anymore. And they're becoming better husbands, better men, better fathers, better brothers, better friends, better leaders. It's not just in just family. This is in your business. This is in the way that you operate yourself. And every day you're not carrying 1,000 pounds on your back like Atlas anymore.
Right.
Like now you're free of these burdens to be yourself, and authenticity and confidence goes through the roof. One of the big things my guys have said is they say, when I go out and I'm myself and I get judged and shamed and rejected, I know that the guys I respect the most in this world accept me for who I am. So you go ahead and reject me all you want. The most badass, powerful men that I know go take the armor off. We love you for who you are.
Yeah.
And so if
that
you reject
community
me,
is
whatever.
huge. That community is so big. That's why we did what we did with the Discord and men's group, women's groups we have. We gotta just finish the intro before we get into craziness because
we'll just cut back. Sorry.
no, that was Rick, ladies and gentlemen. This is what he does. If you did not watch last week's episode, we went for 2 hours and 45 minutes yesterday, and though the conversation went from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, there was a ton of value there. And I was tired yesterday when we left.
Me too.
And I edited for 7 hours last night. And by the time we were done, I looked at her and I was like, I'm hungry. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, but I'm done making decisions. And she's like, I got you, babe. And she ordered food and I ate. I didn't even know what it was until like it almost got there at that point. And like we went to bed right afterwards. I slept like a fucking baby last night. I was so run down. Speaking of yesterday,
yes,
I know that you have some things that you have been processing since yesterday. And I would like to do that before we get into anything else because I don't want to miss an opportunity to have a discussion.
So yesterday was a lot to take in and process. A lot going on. And there was a point yesterday where we were talking about grace. And I gave an example of when he's having a bad day, in the moment he's on autopilot, he might snap at me.
Sure.
And in that moment, I take a step back versus getting defensive. And you mentioned that that could be a defense mechanism or like a protection. I don't view it that way in that situation. I can see how it could be that way for some people. In that moment, it's more of we don't talk to each other that way. So there's a reason that he's going through that. And that the switch flips. And it's more about how do we find the root and resolve what's going on so that this isn't a constant in the marriage. Like whatever he's going through, how can we solve that? Because I don't like seeing my husband this way. I don't like knowing he's going through pain or he's battling a demon. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more of the empathy that you did the survey with 100 men and they all said it was lacking. Mm-hmm. I think I am.
You've leveled yourself up to say, I actually do care about his feelings.
Right.
And listen, testament to you.
Yeah.
Like if there's anything, even if the ladies go, I hate this dude, he's a dick. Like if there's anything that comes away, listen to her to say, I pay attention to my guy's heart.
Yeah.
We have big ones. Like we're not paychecks. We're big-hearted humans. We have big ones. We love you. And if you go, I actually care about his heart. Well, how's your feelings, babe? It'll blow the dude's world. Like he's like, oh my God, she appreciates me. This is important. Mm-hmm. I matter. I'm not just pay your bills. I'm your person. I'm not the rock. I'm like your heart is connected to my heart where we are together. That's awesome. Like praise to you because like I said, it's not absolute. There are women who are like, I'm leveling up with my man. Mm-hmm. And testament to you two to say we are cracking into the thing that it's not being done, but it has to be challenged.
Okay.
And proud of you.
So I have a question for you.
Please.
And the way you were explaining it yesterday, because with what I view in that example, I do view what I have as empathy versus being like a self-protection. So how could one use that as self-protection? Because I almost view that, I'm not saying it's manipulative, but it falls into that trauma response.
But it could be.
It could be.
When it comes to any type of control or even truth for that matter, the line for manipulation and control is really, it's not solid. It's very subjective and fuzzy. And so a lot of times even best intentions can be manipulative. And I think that that's where people start giving a negative judgment to where like, well, it is in your best interest though. Mm-hmm. And so this is where like we have to challenge ourselves to understand our intention. And that's where people start getting really off. Because remember, judgments this is where the problem is. As soon as I start going, that's manipulation. Mm-hmm. Like, well, maybe ask.
Right.
And it may not be ask you, it may be ask me. Mm-hmm. Like, am I being manipulative here? What's my intention here? So I can actually know if I challenge my why, it actually is in his best interest and I really actually care. So am I okay if I'm manipulating to make it so our family is healthier, stronger, and better? Maybe. Let's talk about it. Babe, I'm doing this thing. And you go, okay. And this is why I'm doing that. And then you're going to the one thing that people seem to be missing. Agreeing. Let's make an agreement. Well, does that work for you? Does that work for me? Is this our relationship? Is it matching for what we think is best for us? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what anybody else's is. I don't care what another person's relationship. You guys have yours. I have mine. You've got yours. Everyone's got theirs. Do these agreements for the way that we're operating work for us or not? And if the answer is no, we need to alter our agreements so that we go like, that works really good for me. A big thing with Rosenberg is he was like, compromise just means you both lose. He's like, let's find the agreement where we both feel like that really is good for us.
Right.
I don't want to have to like, I got to have like the not as good version of what I like, and you have the not as good version of you like, and we call that okay. Let's agree like that's best for us. So again, is it technically sure? But even me saying like I think you guys are doing a great job and I'm proud of you is still a judgment.
It is.
Right, yeah.
So like it just means, does it work for us or not? And this is where like, is it healthy, unhealthy is kind of where we have to challenge ourselves every day. And that's why the gaslighting introspection is such a revelation of like, watch out how much you lie to you, because you may be the one who's causing harm. And even if you call it good intention, you may be the one. But if you're going, I've dug into myself and it's good, well then let's keep going, because you have intent that I care about your heart. I want to know. And that's positive, I feel. That's my judgment.
So I'm not just going to say just women do this, because any human being could do that. That pullback in a moment where there's a snap out of nowhere, or husband's frustrated because he's been working on a car for 9 hours, can't figure out what's going on. Wife asks him a question and he just unloads.
Sure.
In that moment, how can somebody separate themselves from the trauma where they go inwards and change that from a defense mechanism to the empathy towards the person having the lash out?
It's a little more complicated. I wish that answer was simple.
Right.
But there's so many factors. Like the trauma itself, was it even caused by the person, or is this before that person? You know, well, the way I was raised, or the house I grew up in, or my ex-husband or partners or whatever, this is the way I was treated. And now I come in with insecurities or issues or fears and all of these things, and I expect you now to be the medication for that without an agreement. We didn't even talk about it. Actually, you don't even know what some of it is, and you're just having a thing where I'm mad at this, and you're like, hey babe, what are you doing? Like, I'm working on a thing. And you're like, why are you yelling at me? You're gonna yell at me? And this is where you can tell it's you. This is how you know it's you. As soon as they're like, I'm not okay, and you go, oh, what about me? And it goes into instant like self-preservation immediately. You didn't work on any of your shit ever. And you're expecting them to be the cure for something that they didn't cause. Just like you're not supposed to be the cure for what he's working on. He may just be like, I'm mad at that thing. My mad is here. And you're going to be around, the aura of the Hulk is out. And I'm mad at transmission, not at you. So please don't get in between us. Like, don't get in between me and transmission right now. And so this is sometimes where you go like, yeah, but I want to be your Betty Ross. And if you don't know who that is, it's not the Black Widow. I'm just a comic book guy. Yeah. When the Hulk comes out, Betty Ross was Bruce Banner's girl. And she was the one who, like, the Hulk would never. The Hulk would throw a tank through the moon, but Betty Ross is in the way, and the Hulk will go like, that's my girl, and it's the only thing that can calm them down. And women want to be that, and we can go into it like soon. Sometimes Betty Ross doesn't need to get between the Hulk and the tank, though. Sometimes you don't need, let him work it out. He's not asking for you to get in the middle. So if you sometimes jump in the way, you'll catch collateral damage. He doesn't want it either. Like, just so you know, your guy doesn't enjoy hurting you, and those who do, get out of that. Like, because there are hurt guys who have no intent, no pack, no training, no guys that they're working with, and they're only going to be perpetuating the generational curses that you're going to be perpetuating onto your children. Have at least some awareness to go, I'm in a relationship that hurts me and hurts my people. Maybe this isn't a healthy one. But have a conversation. And if you have that, get out.
Okay.
But if you guys have hope and like, no, babe, that wasn't you, that was transmission. But you got between me and transmission.
We actually had that.
It wasn't the transmission?
It wasn't. No. But that scenario actually happened. The difference was she didn't have to go, we don't do that, or are you okay? Like, I got up one morning at like 3:00 in the morning and started dealing with tax stuff. And I'm not a numbers guy in terms of math. I like data, but I don't like math, and I certainly don't like dealing with government websites.
For sure.
Nothing in the world frustrates me like a government website does.
You and me both.
And she woke up and asked me a question at like 6:30 in the morning, and I had been 2.5 hours on a government website, and she opened her mouth, and I bit. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sorry.
Mm-hmm. Listen,
Oh man.
I'm with you, bro. Hey, I'm with you.
I left, cried, and then came home and made amends. I don't do that. Like, that's not okay by me. But that was the only time that she's ever seen that venom come from me, and it was fucking instant.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I realized what happened, I dialed that shit back. It was like, I need a minute. I have to leave. And I got in the car and I left. Pulled over, cried for like, I don't know, 45 minutes, came back and was like, okay, I'm calm. I will never do that to you again. I'm so fucking sorry. That was not my intent. You got the worst side of me at the worst time because you were just getting out of bed.
Yeah.
This is the last way that I want to treat my woman. And we had a very in-depth conversation. And since that conversation, and it was the first time that we ever had any type of conflict at all in our relationship, marriage, period. I made it a point to be like, look, I don't want to talk to you that way. And I know that you don't want me to talk to you that way. So in the event that one of us starts getting animated, that reminder needs to be happening immediately. Like, we don't talk to each other like that. And every time since then, if one of us starts to get worked up and the volume control gets a little loose, that phrase dials everything back in and we have normal civil conversations without screaming. Nothing's thrown. The Hulk is put away. Like, and it literally took that one instance of letting that off the leash just enough to like, dude.
You punched the car window out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I know. And again, I feel your heart from here. You guys went into a thing that day that matters even still.
Yeah.
But as a pivotal moment to go, man, I will not be that guy ever again. Like, so just so you'll see, this is something I need you guys to know too. I'll do this with our brothers. This is what we do. This is how we salute with highest honor. Not only does it mean I hold you close to my heart as a brother, but I protect you from the nonsense this world is going to throw at you. And like, this is full salute to you too, to go, we went through an extremely human moment from two people who have been through very tough things. And we happen to, like you said, I hit the venom on the person I care about the most. And damn it, that hurts. Mm-hmm. It hurts to go and cry for 45 minutes. We have hearts. And most women will never, ever, ever forgive because you had a heart moment.
Yeah.
And this is where they hold resentment, and that conversation will come up for 9 years. Do you mind if I do like a little bit of a training to help with what, like, because you guys just did something fucking powerful, and I want to do a little bit of a breakdown to help them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they know.
I would like to point out that was almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have never had you bring that up to me ever. Not once. Every time that discussion has been brought up, it's been me bringing it up. There's still a lack of amends that needs to be made, I feel, on my part on that, and it's something that I have not been able to let go of, because I do believe in making amends. Forgiveness is one thing. Sure. You know, asking for your forgiveness of your sins is one thing.
Sure.
Making amends for those sins are something totally different.
It's the hardest part about forgiveness is not others giving it to you, it's you accepting it yourself. That's where the block is, and that's why I work with my brothers to go like, let's get the thing out of the way that makes it so what is good is allowed.
Yeah.
Like the grace that you're able to give, well, let's make it so you're able to receive. And that's where we, stubborn creatures, get in our own way because you got a good heart, but it's armored up because people have treated it poorly. And now that you're trying to do healthy things, which have never been shown, you're trying to pave a path that was never given to you, and you're in the guinea pig phase some days where you're like, I'm trying something new, babe. And you're like, I don't like that. You're like, oh, damn it. All right, maybe that's not the way. Like, let's try a different thing new. And we'll make new mistakes together, which is courageous. Like, it's very cool stuff. I'm going to go through this forgiveness thing. This goes from all ranges, everything from like these arguments and these tough moments all the way to cheating and how would I be able to forgive this one thing that happened, you know, and make the agreements to it. I'm going to go through the steps on here, and again, I go into choice theory. I lean more into what are the decisions, what are the choices we're going to make, how are we going to handle it. Mm-hmm. First thing is the acknowledgement. You're doing that already. Fully identify the mistake and how it's done. Having the awareness, not just the shame part, but the awareness of, damn, that happened. That happened. I did that. We see that, no questions, right? Recognizing which is seeking to understand the lesson, then learn the impact. Now, this is important too. And I'm leaning into Rosenberg a lot today, but like, you don't have to say I'm sorry, because a lot of people use sorry as a means to scapegoat out of the conversation.
Right.
Sorry, babe. Sorry. I have seen guys burn sorry to the ground. You do not have to be sorry. What you do need to do is be able to say, I recognize the behavior I do not want to continue. I recognize also how I'm going to correct it. We can make an agreement now of like, this behavior doesn't fly for us. Lessons have been learned. I have grown, and I do not want to be the man that I was. This is how I will grow for you, and I will dedicate myself to the purpose of us being better. I don't have to be sorry to do that.
Right.
And oftentimes, like Andrea and I, very rarely will it be an apology necessary. It's just, how are we growing through that? And that's better. Like, that gives you like, okay, I'd rather, instead of going, sorry, no, I go like, I learned from this. I'll never do this again. And from now on, I'm trying this to be better for you.
That's actually a conversation that we have quite a bit too.
Yeah.
Which is great.
We
don't need shame
Right.
involved to learn lessons. And this is important. Shame and judgments are the weapon to break somebody down. You can take a tough moment and build each other up. This is where the healthier version of this can happen. Now, I will get into the parts that become a problem. So just so you guys know, it's not just a magical fairy tale. Acceptance. This is the part. Go through the stages to understand what happened has already happened, because you cannot change the past. We can only learn from it. And going through radical acceptance, which does mean you have to go through denial, bargaining, anger, and sadness, which is probably what 45 minutes of the car was. Like, you're going through all of the, oh my God, all the things that are there. You have to go through all the scenarios and all the regret and all the pieces and the sadness and the anger and the, if only I did this, and I wish I would have done that, and how come I did this, and I wish I could take it back. And you have to go through like all of the pieces to get to acceptance. Once you're able to do that, then you guys can do that for each other. Next comes into the agreement part. Let's make an agreement, a new promise, a new understanding, a new set of vows, whatever it's going to be. Like, I vow I'm going to be this way, and I'm going to live my damnedest to be better for you and us, for me also. It has to start here, and it works for us. New agreements, not demands, not ultimatums, agreements. I agree, you agree. This is better for us. Next is going to be the choice. This is the golden rule plus the standards for trust. Do I forgive or do I not forgive? This is a decision, not an earned. I don't know how many units of what you have to earn. It's, do I choose to do this or do I not? Do I choose to trust or do I not choose to trust? If you choose to trust, we have an agreement that if you mess this up, there is a thing that happens now. Right. We know we have like a, if you do that again, there's a go-to procedure. We agreed. Fair enough. There's no surprises. So I don't have to hold it over your head anymore. We know a protocol. Then grace period. The benefit of the doubt. Don't bring up the past to shame them. Let them show you. I'm going to show you. It'll like, just keep watching. Like, it seems like they're really trying. It seems like they're really doing it. And I would also urge you, measure success based on effort, not results. So important.
It's crazy to hear him say the same shit that we say all the time, but worded differently.
Yeah.
It really is. So you and I,
you found the same answers I did.
I did.
Yeah.
We've been preaching it for over a year on the podcast, but I tell people all the time, the reason that I relate to people and the reason why I won't stop cursing is because I'm delivering a message that other people can't deliver.
Sure.
So people who talk like I do and look like I do, or like we do, I should say, that hear this podcast might get God's word from us. Correct. Because they're willing to listen to us where they wouldn't listen to a pastor or whatever.
God works through us. Yeah.
Right. So for me to talk the way I do and for her to deliver the way that she does, because we deliver things very differently.
We do.
And we balance each other. I'm very abrasive. She's very soft. Right. So we're like two sides of a pumice stone. Sure. And then hearing you come in here with the intellect and the educated words and not slang and not dropping an F-bomb every sentence.
I don't mind F-bombing.
We have, it's there's an affirmation in all of this for me. And it makes me feel really good hearing all that shit. So,
dude. Nah, proud of you guys. You guys are fantastic.
Before we get back into it, thank you for being here again.
Yeah, it's an honor.
This is
This is
it's a learning experience along with the validation you were saying.
Yeah.
And I really think our listeners are going to gain a lot from these two interviews.
I do too.
I hope so. It didn't fly down here for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go into some of the things that ruin it.
Okay.
Let's talk
Okay.
about the other side, the things that ruin it, not just as the person who did the thing wrong, but the person who's also the receiver or the giver of the grace and or forgiveness. First off, the denial aspect. Oh, the damn denial. It is the nastiest of these curses. He's the core of all of them. It's a protection system. This is where you did something wrong, but I refuse to admit it. I'm not going to talk about it. We don't talk about it. It stays completely unfinished. Like, we just get over it. That's already in the past. Leave it alone. We don't talk about that, right? Denial. That's a problem. You can't grow from there. You can't do the steps because we didn't get to the first acknowledge part. We can't even begin the process. That one blocks the whole system. Watch for that. Blame. Being the one who you're the one who's the authority to say whose fault is what, who needs to do what, and who's like, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you did this, you did that. It's a waste of time. Blame, shame, judgment, even guilt. It gets in the way. You can't heal because you're too busy being the authority. It's not good. Don't do this. Stop blaming. Justifications. Oh, blame also goes from your side too. This would be the part where you go like, well, it's not my fault. It's the government. It's not my fault. It's the taxes. It's not my fault. They got me mad. Like when we start not taking the accountability part for ourselves.
Somebody should make a shirt about that. Oh, wait. We have one on our website.
You did it. You already have it. Justifications. Here's why I did it, and that should be considered. And then justify behavior and not seeing the lesson. Careful. Justifications is denial plus excuses together. It's probably one of the most fascinating things I think humans can do, because you can do the most vile of activities and still call yourself a good person. It's amazing what we can do in here. We can turn the most monstrous act and say, I'm good. Like, it's amazing. So justifications, watch out for that poison. Deflections. They always turn the tables. They'll turn the tables. You guys have the comment section. I have the comment section. Yeah, well, what about you? Oh, yeah, well, what about when you did that? Oh, you think I'm bad? What about when your mother-in-law was in town and you did the thing? And we talk about something a year ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. And we don't go, oh, we're talking about that thing that just happened, though. Mm-hmm. Oh, what, me? Well, you're the bad one. Deflection, part of denial curse. I don't take accountability. The anger one, either from doing harm or from being caught. People want to have their cake and eat it too, and they'll get mad when you take that away from them. Mm-hmm. Here's the big one.
I do like cake.
People actually don't know why that. They're like, why do they say that? Have your cake and eat it too. And like, I'm like, well, if I have cake and then I ate the cake, I would have no more cake. Well, I want to eat the cake and still have cake. Well, that's not how that works. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's why people want that. I want the thing that's not how that works.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know, you're like, oh yeah, well shit, I guess that seems obvious. Some people are like, they just learned. That's why they say have cake and eat it too. Okay. Shame. This is the nasty one. This is the one where people will live in this for decades. When the forgiver will not forgive or move on. They stay and they punish over and over with a new sense of authority, that they now have the upper hand in the relationship and they will distribute justice. This is toxic. This is not love. This is not honor. This is not the golden rule, and this is not grace. And I have seen people who have made mistakes, like even if it's like, talk to somebody online, or they did cheat, or they had an argument or did a behavior that I don't find correct. I judge as not correct. Instead of saying hardline boundary, that this isn't good for us and I'm going to have to leave, they stay and they become the jailer. They become the warden. I now get to demolish you from the inside out because of your mistake. And anything I ever do is now completely justified because I could go, it's not as bad as what you did. You are poison. If you are living in this relationship, I urge my guys to reach out, to have the damn confidence to know thyself so they don't stay in this prison. And any of you ladies, do not do this to your man, because you are the poison. Their mistake, I've seen guys who haven't repeated the mistake in 20 years and still being held underwater for it. He learned the lesson. He's not doing the behavior, but now you feel like you can punish for decades Oh, this is where it goes wrong.
Do you think that's because people want to have that thing to dangle over their head to always win an argument? Because it seems like a manipulation tactic to me.
It is highly toxic because it comes from I'm not healing myself,
Right.
nor do I have any of the steps for acknowledgement, recognition, acceptance, agreement, choice, grace period. We're not trying to make it better. And most likely these people are very unhealthy and not needing to become healthy because now they have a reason to not. It is an excuse and a justification to make it so I don't have to be better. And this is, they probably don't watch this show. I don't
Right.
need to be better because I have a reason that I can, justify or excuse myself out of because you aren't better than me. And I'll make sure I keep you low so I never have to grow. Poison, poison, poison. Poison. Do
Okay,
not do this.
I also have a question too before we move on because it's relative to this.
Sure.
When you have those people in the comment sections who are, well, you did this a year ago. What about the time that you did this, or in a relationship or whatever? You did that. I am one of those people that once I have acknowledged my shortcomings and have started taking action to correct them, there's not a shame in me.
Correct.
So when people are like, "You did," I'm like, "Yep," and
It seems very confident to me. I do not see the issue.
right. So like, there's an arrogance about that, is what I'm told.
That's a judgment again.
Okay.
I'm judging you as arrogant. Confidence is called cocky. There's a difference between cockiness and competency.
Okay.
And people have it mixed up that if you can actually do a thing, then you really can do it.
Right.
Versus saying, I'm really good at a thing, and then going like, well, now you're just being cocky. No, I can really do it. That's competence.
Right.
I'm good at something. And so if you're like, no, I've come to terms with that part of myself. I have killed the part of me. I've defeated the demon, broken the curse. I don't do the behavior because I did the behavior to learn not to do the behavior. Since the lesson is learned, I don't have to feel shame or guilt or accept a judgment for that. I'm okay. In which case, say whatever you would like about me. Because I know myself. And this is why the first 5 weeks of me working with men is gutting out all of the belief systems to go, is that you or is that not you? If you do not know yourself, you're vulnerable to people creating or casting judgment. So like, I'll give you an example. So if I said, dude, you're 12 feet tall, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's a lie.
You're like, I don't,
Bullshit.
it doesn't affect you because you're like, I actually know how tall I am and I'm not 12 feet tall.
Right.
Like I'm not an ogre or a giant. Like I know that's not the real number. So it doesn't affect you because it's ridiculous. There's no truth to it. So I don't apply it to myself. But if I say something like, you're pretty stupid, we're like, there's a part of our lives where we didn't know stuff. Maybe in school, or maybe when we were young, or our dad or mom used to call us dumb, or we used to feel dumb around the smart kid who was our friend, or whatever. Like there's a part of us that like there's a partial piece in there that you may be actually hitting that I do. Maybe it is.
Right.
And then you go, man, that hurts my feelings. But the 12-foot tall thing is ridiculous. When you know thyself, I can say things about you, and you're gonna go, nope, I actually know me. You can't hurt me with that.
Okay.
If somebody tells me I'm stupid, I'm like, you're probably projecting one of your things on me because I know I'm not stupid. I am well aware of at least where my level is now. And I know that there's a lot more for me to go. I have the humility to know I'm not the smartest in the world, but I also know I am not stupid. My critical thinking and my cognitive dissonance, has been removed. I'm no longer in denial on my pieces. And you can shame me or judge me or say whatever you want. I know me, and you won't hurt me. And so you having competency is not cockiness. You having understanding and courage to face yourself to make it so I don't take judgment, criticism, and ridicule or even rejection personal. That's another person's decisions, and you're allowed to have them. I accept your decisions, but I do not have to alter myself because of them because I know who I am well enough. So let them judge away. You're fine. You're cocky. Me too.
All right. So everybody that just listened to that, if you are somebody who is in a relationship where you've had things dangled over your head and thrown in your face for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, go back 10 minutes, watch that again. And when you get to this point, repeat that process. There's something that is freeing and knowing that you recognize your behavior and that the only way to get past that is that you have to make the changes. And if you are making the changes and you are actively making the changes, there is nothing that anyone can say or do to make you feel bad about it because you're doing the fucking work.
And if you need to make it so you don't, you could probably figure it out in 10 years, 20 years. You can read a lot of books, listen to the shows, you can do the stuff, or you can come and train with people like us, and we'll save you 19 years of figuring it out. So that way you can live those 19 years authentically.
Yeah.
So there's a better way.
Yeah.
You don't have to figure it out on your own. So well said, man. Appreciate you. That was good.
It's a lot to process. I am one of those people that I'm not somebody that's going to feel guilty about things. I will feel guilt in the moment.
I don't see the benefit.
Right.
Guilt is only, this is the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is feeling bad for something I did. Shame is feeling bad for who I am.
Okay.
And this is where people get it mixed up. They're like, I feel really guilty for being a bad person. I'm like, that's shame. Or like, oh man, I feel so much shame for like, not putting that thing where I did, or I did do a thing I feel bad for. I'm like, that's guilt. They're beatable though. You can go like, I don't need that to grow. I don't need that. Remember, I don't have to say sorry. I have to just go, how do I apply growth?
All right. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, I'm going to work on something differently.
Yep.
I have something I need to go grab from my notes I would like your opinion on.
Let's do that.
I'll be right back.
Please. I got plenty of stuff for you guys too.
Yeah.
We're back. Everybody settled?
Yeah.
All right. So we were just talking about shame and guilt. And I am working on a self-help journal right now because I am unimpressed by self-help journals on the market today. A lot of it is single prompt. What happened in your childhood and how does that make you feel now?
Sure.
Well, I could write all of these things out, but in buying the self-help journal, I was hoping to get tools to help get through these things, right?
Very difficult, yeah.
And I am breaking down emotions because in today's society, there's not a definition for things anymore.
We are going to play in this world. I'm going to give you new tools too. Like,
Okay.
you see the opportunity also. You
All
are
right.
correct.
Yeah. So I have specifically the difference between shame and guilt. And at the simplest point, guilt is I did something bad. And shame
or
is
didn't do something.
Right, or didn't.
Right. Because like,
depending on what the situation is.
I didn't pick up the kids from school.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Right.
I feel bad.
Yeah.
Like,
And then the shame is I am bad, like you said.
correct.
And in breaking down the emotions, I had a thought that one could say that shame versus guilt, it's easier to feel shame versus guilt because guilt requires the accountability in the situation. And shame could be said to be your own perception and guilt could be the reality of things.
Very fun wordplay. Especially what the reality of things are, because it's hard to say what is reality because we change it immediately.
Right.
And so it's going to be more of the perception of what the lesson to learn is instead of applying shame and guilt. And this is why I really do think like the only reason those are there is to go, oh, there's a thing to pay attention to, not a thing I need to apply to my identity.
Right.
And this is where it's excellent the direction you're going. There's a couple words that make it so it's like, how the hell do I do that? And the reality is a tricky word, and we will play with what is truth because people today, not just women, people cannot handle the truth.
True.
They make it different, and we manipulate it, and we change it, or we omit it, or we alter it, and truth becomes extremely subjective. And so who is right becomes a sales pitch to agree. I'm the loudest, I'm the meanest, or I'm the most persuasive, or I'm whatever, and that person, I agree with you. And well, that's truth now. So this is why like doing this tool gets hard because it becomes subjective even with one word. So let's do the sentence again. Let me see what the rest is, please.
Just that last sentence where
Yeah.
shame could be, okay, so I'm meaning this in a way that like not fact, right?
No,
like I'm not
you're good.
saying my opinion is how you should live by. In breaking down the emotions, shame could be your perception of things. I am a bad person. I can't believe I've done that. I'm better off not being here. And guilt would be the reality of things. Say you were on your phone while driving and rear-ended somebody.
A thing that happened.
A
An
thing that
observation.
Right. So the guilt on that is you were a distracted driver. That is the truth of the situation. The shame in that is that carried on perception of I'm an absolutely horrible human being. I can't believe I've done this. My parents are right. I'm not going to amount to anything.
Which are curses. Those are put
Right.
on you as belief systems from other people who haven't actually done a checks and balance for you, nor have you.
Right.
We've applied a belief system in there that gets triggered by anything that goes wrong, which is also another thing where I did a training called Are Your Bad Thoughts Really Bad? And so these are all recognition and awareness things like, oh, I'm really a bad person. My parents were right. I'm not going to amount to anything. And what you're doing is if you have the awareness training, you just revealed belief systems that are inside of you that deserve to be challenged to find authenticity. And if you challenge those things or have the weapons to be able to defeat those, you won't have those come up because you just revealed curses.
Why do you call them curses instead of trauma responses?
Because they're breakable.
Well, you don't believe a trauma response is?
I believe, here's the reason I don't call them trauma responses. People act according to their diagnosis, even if it's incorrect.
You're fucking right. They do. They wear that label like a goddamn name
I don't
tag.
agree with attachment disorders. I don't agree with a lot of the things people are using to say, I have an anxious attachment disorder. You start acting accordingly. No, you don't. You just are afraid. And fear is beatable. So let's work on your fear and why you have that so you don't have to have this diagnosis become your identity. I've even seen people who get diagnoses that are incorrect and start pretending to be or start changing to be. That's why I don't call it trauma responses. Curses are breakable. Your trauma response is just a curse that can be beaten, and it may be part of your destiny for your future family to break it.
Okay, so moving forward on the To Be Better podcast, if you hear me say curse instead of trauma response, it's his fault.
You're welcome.
See that? There's a blame there too.
I'll take full accountability. So the emotions to the perceptions, and I think that we'll get into like emotions and feelings and the difference. The observation that you have of a thing that happened, being able to have the acceptance of that is without having to beat the shit out of yourself to do it. I think that those pieces are all beneficial. The bad thoughts reveal the opportunity for good thoughts. And this goes in anything, even basic stuff like, oh, I didn't go to the gym today. Well, that's your reminder to go to the gym. You just reminded you. Or like, oh, I didn't do that thing. Well, there's your reminder. Your bad thought revealed the other choice. You know, oh, I'm a piece of shit. You're like, you just revealed that somebody put in there that you believe you're a piece of shit. Now you know there's a thing to work on. How did that get in there? You're not born thinking you're a piece of shit. Someone had to put that in there. Someone added that to you, and you didn't have a defense in place to prevent it. Most likely it came from somebody important to you. So they're supposed to be love, and they turned into a curse. Like, and this happens in most commonly, and we're going to get into how ladies generally have cursed ladies hard. And we'll go into some funny versions of it too, where like, it can just be one thing. I have had women that I've worked with that like, they'll be 13 or whatever. They'll be coming out and they're wearing an outfit that they're like, yes, I am killing it in this thing. No, 13, we don't know our head from our ass. It's a very difficult age. But like, my confidence is high in this outfit. And they walk out and mom's first thing is, that doesn't work on your figure. And I have had women who have said that one sentence, even if good intentioned, destroyed their self-esteem. And from that point on, they're like, I don't think that most outfits, even my favorite one, work for my figure. One cursed immediately. And we, parents, we don't even have to try, and we're going to mess our kids up. So just so you know, if you're like, how do we do it right? You don't. All you do is train your kids to be able to fix the shit that we fuck up for them. That's all of us. I've seen people who have had perfect upbringings, best counselors and best schools and perfect lives and won everything and have everything good, and they have gambling addictions because they can't accept the reality because they didn't earn any of it. Like, you can't get it right, even if you do it perfect.
I need to process that.
Wow.
Like, you can't get it right. No matter what, we're going to get it wrong. I was trying to make it more fun today.
Well, no. I am enjoying the shit.
I'm having a really good time. Yeah, this is fun for me.
Yeah.
Having my brain challenged and having things said in a different way with different contexts is just, I'd rather do this than sit around and watch 6 hours of TV.
Yeah, this is a lot more beneficial.
Yeah.
This is also us practicing what we preach.
Boom.
Yeah.
And it's for everyone to see. This is what we do. Like, it's not just us talking shit.
No, this is the behind the scenes, reading the books, listening to audiobooks, and all of that shit. So
If you're not open to somebody questioning your thought processes, you are not going to grow. You will end up in an echo chamber and you will regress. You are not going to progress in any way, shape, or form. That mental chess game back and forth and trying to understand your opponent is what's going to level you up. It's just all there is to that.
We need to challenge everything. It's
Right.
It's the last level in the creed. I actually may be doing a TED Talk on this soon.
Yeah?
As on challenge everything. Right now, we're getting so opinionated, so judgmental, so shameful, so much guilt and blame, and these offended
Closed-minded.
People are using these as weapons to destroy without questions to understand, and being able to have an understanding of a disagreement. Like, I hear where you're coming from. I don't agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
So fair enough. Like, nobody is actually right. And if you think you're right enough to dictate right or wrong, you're already wrong before you started.
That's an absolutely terrifying thought process.
It is.
Do you know who I'm going to butcher her name. I never say her first name right. Yeomi Park is?
I don't know. I haven't met her, no.
She's a North Korean defector.
Okay.
So she escaped North Korea years ago. And she says that there are massive parallels between the way society is thinking right now in America and the way that they run things in North Korea.
Not disagreeing. It's
Like-
polarization so quick. Here's another thing that was interesting is when COVID kicked off, they recognized globally at least 50% of the population on Earth does not have critical thinking skills.
50% of the population?
Just
They-
of the planet.
they knew
at
that,
least.
though.
At least. And this is where it was like, if you're told anything, you will immediately just fall in line.
Yeah.
There's no questions. You will not go like, why? Or does that make sense? Like, no questions. And in fact, they will be polarized so quickly that they will be able to start creating genocidal movements
Right.
without question. They won't even question it.
They knew this beforehand, though, because of the psyops that has been done through Meta.
It's been done so many times. Also, I did do a video that, of course, they were flagging me on, where I was being a little satire-ish and a little sarcastic about like breaking down the psychology of how you can take a good, honest, police officer, and within 2 years they're doing a public execution of a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen? And the steps that would happen. And I was like, but that would never happen to us because we've seen that before, but that's happening almost effortlessly. And this is a very difficult thing for people to be able to challenge. Everything needs to be there. Why are they saying that? Is there a fear thing involved in this? Is this more propaganda, or should I go like, is there actually something here? I would look at both sides and it would be very difficult. Here's the game. Remove the judgments. I don't care if you're watching Fox or CNN. Remove the judgments, and you only get, like, it would be one of those things where it'd be like CNN would say, Trump gave a speech today, and anybody who listens to this fascist nonsense is an idiot, and you are a part of the problem. You're destroying America. And that's like judgment, judgment, judgment. And then you go the other side, where like, Trump gave a speech today, and this is the hero of the planet, and if you're with us, you're the greatest of the people in the world. And you're like, judgment, judgment, judgment. And you're like, the only thing I know from both sides is that he talked today.
Yeah.
I don't have any other facts except there was a speech. That's the only consistent thing. If you remove judgments, you'll realize this is all just propaganda on both sides. It's hard. You're going to be polarized because we're not removing judgment.
You know that everything that you just said stems from advertising and marketing studies done in the early 1900s?
Correct.
And it's just progressed.
And it leans more towards the emotional aspect of things. Fear creates control and makes it so people will start doing the thing you want them to do, and then you can blame them for doing it even though I was the one pulling the string. It's been done a ton of times. It's not new information.
Right.
It's not even hidden. And this is why it's difficult to go like, guys, we got to challenge that. Ask a question. And like, hey, I disagree with you. What have you been seeing? I haven't seen that. And algorithms is an actual thing. You watch The Social Dilemma. They break it down. Even the guys who build Pinterest are like, we can't touch this. It'll control your brain. We can't beat it. Like, we have to not use it.
Instagram has come out and said that the head at Instagram, like, people they don't even understand the algorithm, how it works. And they've come out and said it. Like, at one point we understood this. AI has taken it so far we don't even understand what it's doing now.
It's doing its own thing.
Yep.
And it's smarter than we are.
Have you ever read Life 3.0?
I have not.
You should write that down.
Life 3.0.
Before I forget again, that TikTok got taken down for hate speech.
What? The Dylan Mulvaney one? Yeah, he won Woman of the Year.
Okay. It's another man, one woman of the year. Is that
Yeah,
what happened?
yeah, we're winning, guys.
Listen, another record broken for us fellas.
Yeah.
All right.
So much for you ladies being able to do everything that we can fucking do.
Yeah, we're better women.
I'm sorry, babe. I'm trying to be funny. I know that bothered you this morning.
I
It did.
have transgender friends who hate this.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do we. We get emails from it all the time. Actually,
Yeah.
that kid from Utah emailed back yesterday and still wants to do the segment with you. But I told him that we were trying to have people in studio, or I don't remember which the conversation, but I told them that we were doing in-person interviews, and they're like, okay, thanks, and that was the end of it. So I don't know if you want to try to get them here or off content.
I also have a really fun one too. I've done 2 episodes. One I had to Patreon because they went hard. Dr. Reese Sabatani Blake, the transgender, went from male to female. Hysterical and awesome. We've done a few episodes together, and the second one, Reese fixes the world. And I'm like, I will get canceled for the stuff you're saying on this one. It's hysterical, but they're a doctor and they're very intelligent and they know their stuff, but they've also built a home in hell and then made rules there, like tough as nails.
Do you know why Joe Rogan's never been canceled?
Why is that?
Because he doesn't give a fuck.
No, I do the same rules.
That shame and that guilt is the reason that people allow themselves to be canceled.
Yeah.
People like Joe Rogan, even people like yourself, if people tried to cancel you and you're like, I did that, it is what it is, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, the cancel shit doesn't work.
Right.
And then they'll start getting into other ways to try to get you removed. But
it's weird that we're in a place that somebody can destroy somebody's entire business because they just don't like them.
right.
Instead of saying this is the Howard Stern thing, like we're like, why they listen to him if they don't like him? Well, I want to hear what they have to say, and the ratings would go through the roof. Allow people to choose.
Right.
And I think that's where it is. And the one thing I liked with Joe Rogan is saying the only way to stop this bad speech is with better speech, not stop someone from speaking, because suppression or repression will lead to expression, and the people who get duct taped on their mouth will start swinging at some point. And that's not good. It's better to discord than it is to combat. It's better to go like, I want to understand and disagree versus saying we have to go into swings because I told someone to hold a hand over your mouth. This creates more separation, and it's not hidden. If you're part of the shut them up team so we don't have to hear what they have to say, you're breaking the golden rule. And this is how you can do the most basic things. Are there loopholes to the golden rule? Once you get into details, for sure. But let's just start at, would you like that done to you? And if the answer is no, well, then maybe don't do that.
Right.
Well, I want them shut up and they can't speak at events and they can't do those things. I want them silenced. And you go like, would you like someone to destroy your business, completely try to make rumors and nonsense up about your reputation to destroy you and then silence you completely? You're like, oh my God, no. Well, then don't do that. Maybe just disagree.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're allowed to be an individual and not all be the same. And let's just talk about belief systems. One new piece of information to your belief system can change the whole entire thing, but we live and die by belief systems without allowing new information in. And if you're blocking information, it means you will only ever be stunted to where you are. You have made yourself deliberately dumber. I don't know why that choice would be made. Fear, control. I don't know what you're doing this for, but if you're blocking information from coming in because you can't handle another person's opinion, that's not a them thing.
So you can't handle your emotions towards their opinion.
Which means you've just revealed the bad thoughts in yourself of what I need to level up. You have a curse. You have revealed something that I need to work on for myself because I can't even handle somebody else's point of view. Well, now you see it. It is right there. Now you have choice, though. Now that you know it's there, it's going to be difficult to go, I'm going to keep doing this because now I have to go into justification. Amazing. Now I go into cognitive dissonance. I know the answer, but I'm doing it wrong anyways. Now we have to start living a life of an imposter syndrome and creating an alternate reality that we're the hero even though we are doing villainous things. We become the anti-hero in this story. I'm saving the world by destroying the bad people. Well, murder's pretty bad and genocide's not that good. Yeah, but I'm the good one.
Well, it works. You just erase history, like 1984. Thought police and
It's
change history.
This isn't even new stuff. This is like I'm not making a new thing. This has been around forever. And so I think that, we're going into a little bit more of the polarization, but I'm talking more about not which one is correct, but just behavioral on both sides. I think either side that hits a radical point, you're both fucking up.
Yep.
Like, there's no like, well, these guys are right. It's like there's a big group in the middle going, guys, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
That's not us. And that's why, even here's one thing I even loved when I talked to Reese. I was like, I got a question. LGBT. All right, I'm with you. Like, all right, L and B, like lesbian, gay, and bi. Okay, I'm with you. These are like my sexual preference. I'm attracted to that. I'm like with you. Transgender is my social identity. Well, that has nothing to do with what you're attracted to. Why is that the same thing? Like, that's a different thing. One is, this is who I love. The other one, this is my name tag. Well, those aren't the same. Like,
They're not.
You
They're
can
two
love who
different
you
feels.
love. This one's like, I don't. I've got people who I know that like I grew up with who have gone from male to female. If you want me to call you a different name, I don't care. I'll call you whatever name you want.
As long as you're respectful about it.
I don't care. I'll call you whatever you want. I've never change your name. It's not a problem to me. I still love you either way. You're still a person who's doing. We're all doing our best.
Right.
Okay, if that's how you feel, you're correct. I'll call you a different name. And that's where it got weird to me. Is like, one is like, this is what I love, and the other one is, this is who I am. Well, those aren't the same category for me, and that's why I had to ask, like, what is the difference on those ones? And it was cool. You could check out the episode on my podcast with Battlefield of Mind where Reese like breaks it down because I like hearing from the source.
Do you know what episodes that is, and can you plug the name of your podcast again? You don't have to look it up. I mean, it's...
I don't remember what episode number it is. I got like 90 episodes at the moment.
Well, they can look for it. What was the name of the podcast?
It's with Dr. Reese Sabatani Blake.
Okay, what's your podcast again? Because that was last episode.
Battlefield of the Mind. And so you'll see a picture of me doing this.
Okay.
Are we going to want to do a lunch break?
We can do that too.
We can order
Okay.
in between. I don't know. I don't really care. You're the one that's on a time restraint because you got to pick the kids up at 2.
Right.
So.
Well, I didn't know if you were getting hungry.
No, I ate those sandwiches right before he sat down. I'm golden.
Trying to make sure you're taken care of.
Love that.
Good looking at. That's well-being.
It is. That removes so much from my decision making. Like, I don't have decision fatigue about things that don't matter anymore.
Well, it's no different than when we're doing. Like, I tell people the same thing when we're moving. I'll move your heavy stuff, but I'm not packing your dishes.
Yep.
Like, it's the same thing. We're like, you make all the little decisions. I don't want to be worried about that. I'm going to move the giant, huge thing for you. I got the big one.
Yep.
You take the small ones. I'll get the big ones. Teamwork.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless you want to switch, because I'll just get pissed off at these stupid dishes and be breaking them because I'm not as delicate as you and you can't lift that. So, you sure you want to switch? Like, no, let's do our thing.
Yeah.
It makes us both happier.
I like that you carry the big rocks for me so I can pick up cool sticks.
All I can think of is you cramming sand in your pocket in desert, sand from the desert in your pocket in Vegas.
Yep. Yeah. We went to the Valley of Fire, and it was not early in the morning we went. It was like midday, so the temperatures were getting up there. And we went to 2 or 3 hiking trails, and on like the 3rd or 4th one, he was like, I'm going to sit in the car for this and just work on my thoughts. He was working on a diatribe.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go on the hike. And it was like a 2-mile walk. And as I'm walking, it turns from like concrete and vegetation to just red sand everywhere. And I was like, oh, this sand is so gorgeous. And I patted my pocket, and I was like, no, I didn't bring my Ziploc baggie to get the sand. And as I'm walking, I was like, okay, just take it all in. Like, remember the color, remember how it looks, remember the sky on the red. And as I'm thinking, I was like, this isn't just sand. This is millions of years of wearing down the rock and people walking on it and just erosion. And I was like, I have to take some of this sand. So I'm like a mad woman scooping massive amounts of sand into I had leggings with massive pockets, and I'm filling up my pocket with sand. And I'm walking.
Filling your pocket with memories.
I was. That's really what I was doing. And that whole hike was amazing. I saw petroglyphs and whatnot, so that kind of just added on to... I have a deep connection in my soul to the earth because I'm just here for a blip in time. Like, all of this will still be here when I'm gone.
Sure.
And it was just a whole moment for me. And I texted Chris on my way back to the car, and I was like, just a heads up, I have a pocket full of sand. Yeah. And he was like, forgot your Ziploc bag.
Our washing machine will hate this.
Yeah.
So if the washing machine goes bad and we need another one, just know that was Vegas.
And we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it happened in Vegas.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. That's funny.
Oh,
No, I think it's fantastic, and it's cool with what you did there. I like that. I'll just finish out that thing. Challenge everything is a real thing we should do. Ask questions. Why is a weapon? And it really is. And it's not a weapon that we need to use against others as a weapon, even on ourselves. We're like, why did I do that? And why did I say that, I'm never going to amount to anything? And why did I say I'm not good enough? And why do I feel like I need to lash out? And why do I do that? And why do I do that? Why will get you in. And it'll start running you into your defense systems, which is your security. That was a protocol built to keep one person out, yourself. You made it to keep you out because you're the only one who can get in there. And so you went in there and made a rotating password with alternating fingerprint scanner and a retina thing that you changed your eyeballs to not be able to get into. Like, you made it so you can't get in there. And sometimes you need to team up with someone who can help you hack the system to open it up, who's ready for what comes out. So it's pretty good that we can recognize that those are there, but let's go in and kill some of these. Otherwise, your identity gets routed in these belief systems that aren't yours. So we have to use why as the weapon. And it's a pretty potent word. This is why the FBI negotiators go, use how, because then we can team up. Why gets people defensive. And I've also seen 3-year-olds win arguments against grown-ups with just this one word. Why? 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 And you're like, I don't know why.
that's why we don't use because I said so.
Yeah. I will. Our kids are in that phase of why right now. And I'll go 9 or 10 repetitions until, bro, I don't know. Let's go to Google at this point.
You got me. You
Yeah.
found how far I've gotten in this too.
Yeah.
This is how far we are. So well done on that one. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to get into some Disney princess stuff?
You guys want to go hard? Let's have fun.
Disney princess
Yeah.
stuff?
So is that something that we can do in 30 minutes?
I don't know.
Okay.
All right. I want to go into some of the curses that have happened. This is for my ladies.
Okay.
This is for the ladies. I got to do my nighttime radio. This one's for the ladies. All right. So let's get into some of the curses that come on to our women when they're little girls. And I like to have fun with the Disney princesses on this one. I'm going to go just start with the main ones. We're going to go with the big ones and just play with them a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So there's a big curse for the ladies, which is tough because when boys are growing up, we're taught that if something is wrong, you have to learn how to fix it. You have to figure it out. We'll troubleshoot it. Well, let's work on it together. We got to build it. We have to create it. We have to fix. We were taught to be fixers. Girls, on the other hand, pending the type of relationship they have with family, is like, oh, well, you don't have to fix that, and that's not your thing, hon, and it's okay, and have your feelings and go through your emotions, and that's not you. And you're taught that you're supposed to be loved for who you are and don't need to fix anything. And this goes into dating girls go in thinking they're the interviewer with no qualifications necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we get emails where people are in the victim mindset and the other person on the other end of the email is like the problem. The man is always the problem. We very rarely get accountability emails.
Women are taught they're not supposed to.
Right.
It can't be them. Remember, gaslight your introspection. This is where it starts. Starts at the beginning. And this is going to get into what is required of a woman and where did it come from? Let's start with the big one. Cinderella. All right, first off, we're going to go into, remember who curses women the hardest? Who? The ladies. So who is tormenting Cinderella?
Stepmother and her sisters.
Wicked stepmother and her sisters. The women beating down women on this one, just tearing her down, making her do all of the house chores and keeping her status low so they can feel better. Now, I'm not going to say that Cinderella was totally totally off the crazy reservation. She talked to mice, so that'll mess you up a little bit if you're like, oh, chirp, 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 chirp. You'd be like, what are you doing, babe? You talking to that mouse right now? So she's got some stuff.
Yeah.
Cinderella gets a fairy godmother, gets this thing that shows up. Somebody comes in and steps in to say, I'm going to help lift you up, love. When she does, she gets turned into something totally different than who she is. The big blue dress and the hair is different and the mice turn to horses. Everything is now not what it is. It's made up. It is different. Her authenticity is now this other thing. She's enhanced, if you will. All right, so change everything that you are about yourself to look and be something very different. Then she goes to the ball and the prince is like, who is that? And as soon as he does that, he's like, I got to talk to this chick's smoking. I got to talk to this chick. So he goes up and he's dancing with this girl. And he talks to her for a couple of minutes and he's like, damn, this girl's so hot. this is gonna be I'm gonna marry this girl, right? Bong, bong, bong. The bell starts going off. And she's like, I gotta go. Hits midnight. I'm out of here. You're gonna know the real me. So I gotta get out of here. She's taken off, leaves the shoe behind, and he's like, oh no, the girl is gone, but I gotta find who she is. You guys are with me so far. I'm just telling story at this point.
Mm-hmm.
How does he decide I'm gonna go find this girl? The prince. This girl's so hot, I gotta find her, and all I got is a shoe. What's he gotta do?
No, he's going to test every foot.
I gotta go around the kingdom and put this shoe on a bunch of feet. Do you know why he had to do that?
Because he had a foot fetish.
Plausible. He didn't even know her damn name.
Yeah. Also didn't recognize her face.
Didn't even know, hey, where's this girl
Yeah.
by name? He couldn't even say who it was. In fact, didn't know anything about her at all. And was like, that's my girl. She didn't have to be interesting, skillful, funny, cool, like have a skill or a talent or an interest or a hobby. I don't even know the girl's damn name. So I'm going to go around putting shoes on everybody, and if it fits, that must be her. Bro, our prerequisites here for connection are 0 requirements. Just look banging in blue, girl. That's all he had. That's it. And that's all it took for him to go, I found the shoe that fits a girl. What's your name again? Now we can get married and live happily ever after. The prince will provide everything and do all the heavy lifting for you as long as you're hot. No curses there can be happening, right? You don't have to be interesting in the slightest bit. Just be hot. And a prince will choose you and you'll live happily ever after. That doesn't mess anybody up, right?
Oh, no, God.
Well, come on. Women don't base their entire existence off of
Can't go off of
looks.
Cinderella. That's just one. That's just one. Let's go in another one. You guys ever heard of Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah.
You heard of Sleeping Beauty? Aurora? We know Sleeping Beauty, right? Maleficent is in this one. All right. Let's just skip all the story from one woman cursing another woman to sleep. Let's just skip this one. Snow White can relate. Let's go ahead and skip this one where the woman has already just destroyed. I'm going to curse that woman.
The younger, more beautiful woman.
Maleficent. All right, so let's skip this part and just go right to the prince is on the scene. Now, I know the news story tries to make it so they have these chance encounters. No, the prince shows up and this chick is passed out. This guy goes like, is it just me or is this chick hot when she sleeps? like she's passed
He
out.
really walked into that room and went,
He's like, can I have a minute? Like, hold on, this is inappropriate to begin with. She's hot while she's passed out. Already not a good tone. And he's like, you know what? She's so hot passed out. I'm going to go and break the curse by fighting Maleficent. And in the cartoon version, she turns into a big-ass dragon with giant thorn bushes, and he's fighting through the fire and all. He has to go fight Dragon Maleficent because this chick is hot sleeping. Then he gets back with true love's kiss, and the prince kisses her to break the curse. Who broke curses? The prince had all of the power here. The prince was the reason that she could be free from her curse. So this dude's fucking awesome. And he chooses her because she's hot when she's sleeping. He wakes her up based on less than any criteria at all. We didn't even talk once, but he fought a damn dragon for you. And you were just in a coma. Like, hold on a second. You don't have to be or do. In fact, you can just. And that should be more than enough to walk through hell for you. Ladies, who do you have to be?
oh, depicted in media, nothing more than just a pretty face.
We're already there. You can be passed out and that's enough. So Sleeping Beauty's already like, oh, damn it. Okay. All right. Let's go into a little harder one. My girl Ariel. Right? Ariel. Not only Who cursed her? Ursula. Bitches getting bitches. Like, damn it. Damn it. Ladies.
Yeah.
Ladies. Always knocking them down. So what does she want to do most?
Feminism.
Yeah, right.
Feminism.
Ladies hurting ladies. All right. So let's get into this one. Now, people try and make it so she has a hoarding disorder. Just because she had a collection, that's not a hoarder. She had her stuff together. It was clean.
One could say it was escapism.
It could be. Listen, could be. What was her hobbies? What did she have? She at least had a collection hobby. Listen, I've played the baseball cards and stuff. Listen, I can't argue. Like, so we all have our things, and she seemed like it had it together. She had an inventory. It wasn't like just a pile of garbage.
Yeah.
My collection is escapism with escapism in it.
It's clever. So let's
whiskey.
Let's skip all that stuff and get right to what she has to do. The way that she gets a prince is completely change your body. Completely. Alter your body. Change from who you are to get different legs. Alter your body. Get some sort of surgery to change who you are so that a prince will choose you. But don't talk.
Yeah.
Remove your voice and change your body, and a prince will choose you. In fact, be a damsel who needs to be rescued, who doesn't say a damn word. Be beautiful, change yourself for him, shut the fuck up.
It is so hard for me not to make jokes during this entire conversation.
Have a joke. This is meant to be a little silly.
It'll get us kicked off YouTube.
Oh, man, okay. Well, I mean, say it and then cut it.
Yeah.
I need to know.
If you say it different, it's the prerequisites that's being shown. That's what you need to do.
Yep.
It's being shown. This is what works. And so this is tough because Ariel has to change her body and then remove your voice, and a prince will love you. Damn it. Tell me this isn't going to mess with you, right? Okay. All right. Ariel aside. That's fucked up. But let's go ahead. Let's get out of that one. Old Belle. Good old Belle. This one's always the funny one for people. Belle with Beauty and the Beast. All right. Obviously, the dad stuff gets crazy. The sins of the father ends up falling on Belle. Damn it, Dad, you suck. We can go with the dad stuff too, but all right, she's got to answer for Dad's poor choices. You can relate. Dad wasn't around. I have to answer for Dad's dumbass decisions. Thanks, Pops. We can relate. Thanks, Dad. Damn it. Okay, sins of the father aside, how does this situation end up? A cursed prince who has been cursed, and he has become a powerful apex beast, uncontrolled, untamed, wild, powerful, strong, angry, like the beast.
He's still a gentleman.
He still wears a nice suit. So in any case, she is now his prisoner and is a prisoner with the beast. She has to fall in love with the beast for the beast to be able to have his curse broken. We know the story, right? Now, tell me, please, what is the most interesting thing about Belle?
She likes books.
She likes what she reads. She knows how to read.
Yeah.
The most interesting so far, she likes to read.
Yeah.
Do you know how to read?
Yeah.
Do you? Well, shit. That's like saying I like music. Or like I like movies. Like
Right.
everybody likes that. We can read. So like I'm good on you. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And if I don't even remember her going like, oh my God, let me share this book. It's so good. I don't remember that in the movie at all. She wasn't sharing book stuff.
No, it was more for just carrying the books.
So she wasn't
Liking
even like,
books.
oh my God, best story ever. Can I share? Like she doesn't even share.
She was fucking selfish.
Well, I don't. Oh my God. But she read books. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. What else is interesting about her? She's hot. And she accepts the beast for who he is. I'll give her it. Let's give her that. Now, it's funny that she's such a good reader. I don't think she ever read about Stockholm Syndrome. I don't think she understood that falling in love with your captor when you're a prisoner is a thing. But that's her thing
Yeah.
because she fell in love with her captor when she's in prison.
Yeah.
And that's how you break a curse, ladies. Get with somebody who's an uncontrollable apex, who's a cursed prince with all this potential,
Who kidnapped your father?
Who kidnaps you, and you're trapped under his rule. So this is the fall in love with the apex bad boy. And then you can turn him into a good guy, right?
Who becomes the gentleman, and Gaston, who's supposed to be the hero, is the one who exposes toxic masculinity.
Which, well, technically he's a dick. So, so he's a villain. So he's supposed to be.
He is, right.
He's the equivalent of like a man-child, like a boy. He doesn't do man things, he does boy things, and that's why he's the bad guy. All right, so the Beast is the bad boy. Now, this is where women can relate to real life with Belle on this one, and this is where it gets fucked for society today. Good girl falls in love with bad boy, wants bad boy to be committed, loyal, good guy. She, with her love, can Betty Ross and tame the Hulk, and he sacrifices and gets rid of his negativity or his bad curses to be the good guy and becomes the good father, becomes the loyal husband, becomes the good guy, becomes boring. She fell in love with the apex, wild, uncontrollable prince that quickened her because she's not interesting in the fucking slightest bit. And so she has him become not interesting in the slightest bit to her by being good. This commitment level starts making it so she starts becoming resentful and then starts getting negative, controlling, starts getting, mean or complaining. What are some of the things that she does? She starts becoming mean, restricting, demeaning. She then starts making him feel trapped and powerless and telling him who he can go hang out with, what he can do, because you used to be, that's why you shouldn't. And she starts turning it over to where now he feels like he has a warden and now he's in the prison. So then who became the beauty and who became the beast? We're watching this happen where you have the bad boys turn into good guys and the good guys becoming good and the women start to destroy good guys. Throw some empathy in this. We don't fall under that category, but now you're watching and I have a lot of guys who are like, I gave her everything that I have and she has destroyed me with everything that I love. Ladies, you can do better. These curses, these started off with even just Disney shows. And there's more. We can do more of these. Each one has these. And this is just to get an idea of like, there's programming in this. From a very, very young age, this stuff is there. And we don't realize that the subconscious part of my Disney princess is also carrying curses. Now, I'm not against all of them. Listen, my favorite is a queen. My girl Elsa, that's my favorite one. Mm-hmm. Because that girl doesn't need a man to work on her stuff. And she's just like, you got some shit to work through. Let it go. Let it go. And I'm like, yeah, let that shit go. Mm-hmm. Work on your stuff. Work on your stuff. That girl's, I know, I watch her. She's like, oh, it's ponytail time for business. And I'm like, damn right it is, Elsa. Go fight that horse water monster. Listen, so I'm just going to put it out there. They're not all terrible. But it's just weird to watch these things where, like, we just accept these things as, like, regular, but you don't have to be special. Let's go a little more modern, because this gets into the women fantasies, the women fantasy part of it. This is something I saw Jordan Peterson talk about, and there's studies on this one where Google was looking at the fantasies for boys and men. It's just corn. We're going to look at bouncing and shaking things and fantasies of, like, just sexual fantasies. It was like a 37-second study. Like, they're like, okay, we get it. They like that. Boys is easy. Girls gets into story. Girls gets into like the situation and what are the connections and the dynamic.
The emotions.
The emotions start getting involved in what they fantasize about. And there was 5 main categories that became like the fantasies. The categories were, it was surgeon, pirate, billionaire, werewolf, vampire. Those were the most common searched by women for like fantasies. Now let's go into a couple of them because I know obviously you're going werewolf and vampire. Like sure, they go into the sexiness of them, but I'm not a big necrophiliac or bestiality person, so yeah. I don't know why that gets so big. But maybe because of Twilight.
I would say, yeah, the Twilight.
Interview with a Vampire. There's a sexy,
the
naughty,
mystery,
it's naughty.
Unnatural.
Girls are naughty though. Yeah. It's in there. I remember getting certified in a few different coaching programs, and there was sections like play with your naughty ladies, let your naughty play. And as a guy, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't have that. I don't need to let my naughty play. I have 5 girls at my house. There's naughty in them. They love to scare each other or hide each other's things or mess with each other's stuff or, put their phone on the car and go, where is it? I don't know. They're naughty, and it's in there to do the thing you're not supposed to do. They like it. So maybe there's something in there with it. Maybe there's something. Okay. Now we go into the Twilight stuff. You go into like this Team Edward, Team Jacob. You get into these like, which one are you? The sexy werewolf guy or the mysterious vampire guy who's 120 years old? He's 120, but he's really into 17-year-olds, which, help me, please.
Come on, you know that at 120 years old, you have a lot in common with somebody who can barely think. It goes into Disney, right? If they just sleep a lot and shut the fuck up.
So this is where it gets tricky because I'm 41 at this moment during this recording, 41 at the moment. I have a 17-year-old at home. All I do is listen because what we have in common is nothing. Like, go ahead and add like another, triple my lifetime. If I'm 70 talking to a 17-year-old, what do I have in common? It's probably not going to be a lot. Make me over 100, 120. This may not be a match completely. Let's keep all that stuff out of it, though. Let's go ahead and not get into 500 years or 1,000 years. Let's not get into any of that stuff. Let's just keep it real simple. Okay. What was the most interesting thing about the main character?
Of what?
Of Twilight.
Oh, I have no idea. I
have watched this at all?
She's a fan. I have.
Please, then I need your help.
Okay.
For Bella. That was it, Bella. Mm-hmm. For what was so damn interesting about her?
About her?
Her.
Like what Edward found interesting about her?
I'll take that too.
She wasn't.
She wasn't. In fact, the thing that was most interesting to her, or to him, to her, is that
she didn't care.
No, he couldn't figure the shit out because she blocks powers and stuff. Mm-hmm. That means even when she got powers, it was to stop powers. The coolest thing about her is she's a buzzkill. Yeah. She makes it so like you can't even do cool stuff around her. She's lame. She makes it so your cool stuff isn't cool. Mm. Come on. Okay. And then character development wise, the only reason that she was even interesting is because she's around interesting apexes. Jacob was very interesting. Mm-hmm. Edward's very interesting. The whole Colin family, very interesting. This is, we're vegetarians. We only do deer or whatever. Interesting. These are just turning into giant dogs and shit. You're like, okay, that's cool stuff. And, you get a little salty watching it because you're hoping werewolves and vampires are killing each other. Not till the end. You're like, come on, guys. Kill some of each other. Okay, so it's tough for the boys. But these guys are all going gaga over a girl who's the least interesting person in the book. Least interesting person of all, and she's a buzzkill as her superpower. And this is the one? What does she have to do to be chosen and fawned over by these apex predators?
She herself, she's not doing anything. She's existing.
And this is what women are taught how you get you an alpha or an apex. That's how you get the 1%er. You deserve it.
She was also actually pretty problematic in the movies.
She was a nightmare.
She was there's a love triangle going on. She's making men battle each other for her. And
she's messing with both of them. She's kissing Jacob and stuff. She was doing stuff. She's going on dates. She's doing things.
Right.
That's not good stuff. Mm-hmm. Also, she would go and put herself in danger and do reckless things.
For attention.
Why are we choosing this one?
I don't think I've actually even seen this. Or like maybe I sat through one of them once because all I can remember is that look on her face was always, and that was the only thing from the movie I remember. It was the same face every time I looked up at the screen. Obviously, I was on my phone the whole time, but I don't.
Yeah, the confusion and the pushing.
Is this actually a thing?
Yeah.
Like, you make this sound so much more interesting than what I remember being.
I was with somebody at the time who was really into the stories and the stuff. In fact, I pay attention to movies. Even if it's not my movie, I pay attention. So much so, I played the Twilight trivia with people who read the books, and I won twice. Mm-hmm. I just pay attention. I'm like, it was the Emmett guy. He's the one who did that thing. And they're like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I pay attention to the movie. It's not my thing, but I have interest in other people's things, so I'll watch it. Guilty admission.
Are you
I
able,
won twice.
Are you able to actually sit down and just enjoy television?
I can't watch TV.
Okay, movies then.
But movies, I watch the shit out of movies.
But you can sit down and actually enjoy them. I can't.
The new ones, I really struggle. The
Okay.
writing has gone so far off the rails, and they keep changing characters to be like they're trying to do too much. And I don't want to say it in a negative way, but like everyone's changing ethnicities, and it's getting over the top.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind having a here and there, but it's everything now, and it's. I don't. Why don't they just make a character who's like a black character or a Spanish character or something? Like, make a new one.
Right.
Why do we have to keep changing everybody? Like, just write a new
Recycling
story.
things.
Like, I don't have any Marvel problems with Blade. The guy was black the whole time, and I love Blade. That's awesome. But I don't need it to, like, the new Interview with the Vampire turned Louis from Brad Pitt, who was a white plantation owner whose family died, and he wanted to die too. And then Lestat turned him to now the new show makes him a black pimp who's gay. And I'm like, why do we? That's the same character. Why don't we just make a new character and then tell the story in that world? That would be completely appropriate. I was trying to watch the Ninja Turtles. They changed the whole thing, and they made it so April O'Neil is now an overweight black girl. And I was like, well, that's unnecessary to make that change. We could just make a story in that world with a black girl. Like, you don't
Right.
have to. We don't have to turn everybody into something different. We can just make a new story. And I'm having a kind of a hard time with, like, we're taking characters to change races when we can just make a racially, diverse conversation without changing races on people. I don't think it's necessary.
Right. I very clearly am a pale complexion person.
No.
What do we?
Shocker, guys.
Okay. From the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah. If I were of any other race, I would be deeply offended by what they're doing. Like, are we not
If we were turning
deserving
black
enough of our
characters
own
white
new
or
character,
something?
of a whole new plot line of, like, with The Little Mermaid, they could have done.
Well, they had Ariel was black and Dad was still white. But I don't know what the mom situation was. Like, at least have the explanation. All the sisters were white.
Right.
What? Like, I don't mind having a Black Mermaid story. That doesn't bother me. But why are we changing characters? Like, the stories were those. Just make another story.
Right.
A new mermaid.
They could have done something like off the coast of Africa with cultural things,
Instead of
but
the
underwater.
Norwegian
Still would have been
Yeah,
cool.
it would have been such a dope movie.
Just make a new mermaid.
Right.
Like, that's not a problem. Like, and that's the thing. They have I watched the new Peter Pan, the Wendy one, and now Tinkerbell is black and Peter Pan's Spanish. And I'm like, why don't we just make new characters? Like, we can have the people be who they were and just make new ones. I would still be totally okay with it. We don't have to change everybody's race.
Right, like having Peter Pan pass off the torch to somebody else to take over because
Rufio!
right, like
Yeah.
Like, I was cool, Rufio.
The reason I asked that, though, is because I can't watch television and just enjoy stories anymore. Everything gets broken down into, like, why is this a thing? Why is this a thing?
Oh,
What
I
are they
see what
trying
you're
to do? Like, I can't just enjoy a television show or a movie anymore.
Sure.
Unless it is true fantasy that doesn't have any type of bullshit thrown into it. So.
Yeah, there's a struggle. I do struggle with a lot of the writing these days, but this is the reason why it's okay though. I did a podcast a couple times with a guy named Viram, and you can listen to a couple of those episodes. And he actually mentioned something I actually appreciated, something I liked. Back in like early 2000s, as they had the writer's strike at that time, and when they did the writer's strike, that's when like the reality TV boom started. That's when they started going like, we still need content, and they started following people around for reality TV. And that created a whole new genre, even leading into like The Office and like spin-offs of reality TV show being written. Like, it created a whole new thing. And you're like, okay, that writer's block created opportunity. I think we're doing it right now. I think this writer's block that's happening right now is making it so people like us can, like talented people who need to be out there, can create their own Wayne's World, Party Time, excellent.
Yeah.
And we can do that, and we can like start creating like movements and growth and having communities and changing lives and making it so people can start going like there's content now that can be created from anywhere. Swing. Just saying.
It is happening right now. And they said that during this writer's block, one of the agreements is that people who are not qualified to be parts of shows are no longer allowed to be a diversity hire. That's part of the strike, because people who are creative writers that are having to dummy down their writing styles to fit narratives are quitting. They're not wanting to do it anymore.
Correct.
That's wild.
Which is, it's good. People who deserve to be heard. I don't care what your race is. I don't care your gender. I don't care your social identity and your tags. Make your thing. There's enough people to have an audience for everybody.
Yep.
There's enough people. Go ahead and make your thing. Fight for your dreams. Build your passion. Now is your time. And now is your time to up your production game, because as it starts going, the cream will rise to the top, and the people who are good will be outliers. Will start breaking free.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of people who want to make content, and this is what people are starving for. This is why us three, are doing well, is they're starving for authenticity. We're sick and tired of the bullshit. The guys who are like, oh, I'm a character, and they do the thing. Like, you can only handle so much of that until you go like everyone's a character right now, or they'll have one niche or one dance thing or one thing that they do, and they plant their flag on the one thing, but you can only do that dance so many times until you're done with it. Like, people are just starving for something true, something real, something that I can connect with. And when people are going through pain and sorrow and hurt and loneliness and isolation and don't know what the fuck they're supposed to do, well, now I can relate with you. And I can, in real life, actually, I have people, when I take the calls, they go, holy fuck, dude, I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, you're talking to the guy. What are you going to do with it?
Yep.
We're in together.
You realize that in all of the things that you just said, you can tie everything back into what you talked about in the entire first episode, and that people want that connection, which is why your groups are doing so well. People relate to us because of our connection. Anything that you want to add on the end of the Disney thing? We're going to wrap this one up and then go into part 3.
Nope. Ladies, be aware of your curses. Be aware the curses are put on you. This is one thing I do not want to put shame and judgment on the women. This was not your fault. This is something that has happened, but now if you're aware of it, you can start making steps to stop it from being your identity. Being able to have an open mind, especially towards guys, we are way better than what you think. The princes in these stories were the heroes. The princes in these stories were the ones that broke the curses, and the princes were the ones in the stories that came with everything. Have a little humility that you're not the interviewer, because a real prince will interview the shit out of you. So work on your stuff.
I'm going to leave you with a final thought as well. Men, you know you watched those cartoons when you were a kid, and you related to the princes. And now that we're ending this, I want you to think about everything that he laid out with the curses, because we dealt with it too. You got anything?
No.
Let's get lunch.
Yeah, let's do that.